everyone. Welcome back to Love and Life Sorted. I'm Dr. Sandy Toe, and today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, a house and a car. Yeah, so if you're Chinese, I bet you've heard about this idiomatic term. Yeah, so whenever you introduce like your partner to your parents, or someone like who's serious that you're dating, who's about to become your husband, then yeah, they will ask the question, does he have a house and a car? Yeah, do you think that that's a myth or a reality? Right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about this topic at the most suitable time because it's Mother's Day coming around the corner. Yeah, and in a few days this weekend. Yeah, and what better time to talk about parents' criteria for a partner? To explore what parents' expectations are for your partner. Right, so why do we have to listen to them, you might ask? Well, there's a lot of wisdom to that. Yeah, and a house and a car is more than meets the eye. Right, so what connotations does it have? Does it mean like parents are like very materialistic about the finances of the man in your life? Like they expect you to find someone who's like really well off, who can take care of you financially completely and afford to buy like everything, like a house and a car and all the necessities before like letting you get married to them. Is that what it means? Well, I guess for some families, yes, and most no, it's not as simple as that. Yeah, because well, expectations are one thing, right? But like the reality, will it come true? Is it that easy to find, or will everything go your way? Well, we can't control most of the things that come our way, right? If we find a partner, there's like so many other elements that we need to think about. It's not just money, right? You think? Well, you're right. But like, do parents understand that? Like, what about in the parents' point of view? That is what we're going to explore in this episode. So yeah, first of all, it is understandable why some parents are really dead serious when it comes to saying that they expect or would like the man to provide a house and a car upon marriage. Yeah, so why is it that way? Well, first of all, the house is like the single most important purchase in an individual's life, according to Chinese parents, right? So they themselves, like they scrimped and saved and worked their whole lives to be able to afford a house, to afford a roof to put over their family's head. Yeah, so for them, it's like a huge and noble endeavor. Yeah, and so it's understandable that they would like that for their daughter as well, like someone to be able to do what they did for their children. Like they would love for their daughter to find a man who is like that, who is responsible and can, make a good living and provide for the family like they did. So that is a very pragmatic point of view. Yeah, and judging by, the soaring real estate and in a lot of countries, especially in China, a lot of cities, parents can't be blamed for thinking in such a pragmatic way. So yeah, that is like the best case scenario that they would wish for their daughters. So, but of course, there's a lot of negotiation, and it's not set in stone. And I'm sure they can negotiate a way around that. And parents themselves, they're also very generous and magnanimous. They would be very willing to chip in to pay for the down payments for their child's house if no one can afford it, right? So, if in the event that really the guy doesn't come with a house and a car, then the parents themselves, like a lot of them, they're willing to, spend a lot of their retirement funds to help out with purchasing a house for the newlyweds because, they really want that for their child. Like they want them to settle in, to have a stable living like them, and they want to help them out. Yeah, so if they can afford it, they're very willing to chip in and help out as well. So in Chinese, the house actually means the same thing as family. Yeah, it's the same word, right? So it's very important. Like the house is very symbolic. It symbolizes like the hearth of the family, right? So it's somewhere where it's safe, like it's a safe haven. It's comfortable and like a loving family, and therefore it is such an important thing in their lives, like having your own house. Right. So, in that sense, it's not like a myth. It is a reality. It is a real live criteria that a lot of parents, especially Chinese parents, they look for in a partner for their child, like for their daughter specifically. So, if you ask around, like, don't be surprised if the first thing, or maybe the second thing, after, oh, is he like a good guy? Is he kind hearted? Does he have good qualities? After that, might be, oh, does he have a house and a car? Like, that might be the second question that comes up if ever you introduce an eligible partner that you have, an eligible boyfriend who is about to become your life partner to your parents. Yeah, so where does the car come in, right? So you might be thinking, so yeah, so what's the deal with the car? Well, I guess it's just the throw-in. Yeah, so let's like forget about the car, but it just comes in a package, okay? Like a house and a car. It is just like this idiomatic term that comes in a package. Like the value of a car is far less than a value of a house. But, just like, I guess it's just thrown in for good measure. And well, I know that there are cars nowadays, like, I don't know, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, they can be as expensive or more expensive than a house even. And, well, but that doesn't count because it doesn't have the symbolic significance of a house. You can't raise a family inside a car, right? No matter how expensive it is. A caravan, maybe. Yeah, it could be like a car house. But normally the stress is on the house and not actually the car. Okay, so, right. So it's just like comes in like a package. So the next question is like, so should we listen to the parents? If they ask us these questions or they have these high expectations about our partner's economic status and finances, should we go along with it, or like what should we do about it? Is it right or wrong, or what, right? Well, there's a lot of wisdom in like parents' criteria. So it's not just our criteria that we have to listen to, like our hearts and our feelings and chemistry and those things. But think about the parents actually voicing something that you never had the guts to voice yourself. Okay, so they're actually the voice in the back of your head, well, warning you or urging you to think about something. Think about something that the world usually doesn't agree with, because it's just so pragmatic and just it's like so worldly. And why do we have to think about money when we're talking about love, right? We're talking about chemistry and feelings, like subjective things. Like, why do we have to throw in something so vulgar, right? So these are things that we don't dare think about when we think about partner choices. It's like, well, it's good enough that we can find someone that we click with, a great conversation, super compatible, and he's like kind-hearted, nice guy. Like, that's already very valuable in itself, right? So what more do you want? Like, do we have to go check on this guy's finances and ruin everything, right? Ruin the moment? But you know what? If you ask yourself deep down, your parents are the ones who are voicing the concerns at the back of your head that you don't dare think about, or you think that it's wrong in society to think about, right? So in that way, it is quite valuable to listen to. It has its value in it, like parents' concerns and parental criteria in partner choices. So yeah, a house and a car is just like the way to talk about finances. Like asking if the guy has a house and a car, you can just see it broadly as meaning, does the guy have healthy finances? Yeah, so I think that is a good way of putting it and thinking about it if you don't want to treat it so literally. I guess especially if you live in places that the real estate isn't sky high, it's bearable, right? So like having a house and a car is not such a big deal, and it's not like a make or break situation, right? So it's not that unaffordable that if you don't have it, you're like done for the rest of your life, like your marriage is doomed, right? So think about it as parents, asking if the guy has healthy finances on the whole. And that in itself is really important. Think about it this way, especially if you already have like quite a good job, a good career, and you're making a good living by yourself, and you have certain things already. You probably don't want to get into a relationship with a guy with a lot of debt. Yeah, like because maybe you have spent a lot of time like working like really hard to clear up your student debts, right? Like your law school fees, your med school fees, like you've worked you're almost done with clearing up all your student debt, and now you're off to a really good life, right? So you probably don't want to take up someone else's debts, do you? So what your parents are thinking is that they're looking after you, looking after your best interests. Yeah, because who more than them has your best interests at heart, to be honest, right? So while maybe your friends or your peers, they're like really wrapped up with you about wow how great that guy is, and how he's so fantastic, he's so fun, and he's so cool, so hot. Such a great match with you, and everything, right? But the thing is, like the thing that everyone just doesn't broach, at the moment, as to not spoil it, is to talk about the financial state of that guy, right? So I think this is where parents come in. Like, this is where their wisdom is really valuable, that they're the ones who are willing to spoil the moment, if you will. They're the ones who don't mind playing like the bad cop, like who will actually interrogate or who will actually speak the truth. Yeah, well, I'm not saying they're gonna actually go and interrogate the guy like an actual cop. They're gonna interrogate you over that. So mindful of that, but which is better because they're not going to embarrass you in front of your boyfriend or something. But they're definitely going to ask you questions about this guy's financial state. Is he in healthy financial state? Does he have a lot of debts? Does he have a gambling addiction? Yeah, so these are important questions that you or your friends, like, or your mates, like, you guys are so wrapped up in the romance that you don't want to confront these things, right? These practical things. These are the things that parents do. Yeah, so really thank them for it, because if they don't do it, who's going to do it? And by the time where you've reached the point where you can't ignore it anymore, it might be too late already. Yeah, so who knows? Like, you might already be engaged. I have a friend who, as a personal friend who got divorced because of this. She initially was with a man, like, oh, well, she's remarried again, so this is the first husband. So there's a girl who is like a professional, has a really good professional career. She married a guy, when she met him, he had just lost his job. And it was okay because like she thought that the guy would go and get another one. And the guy also promised as well that he would go find another one. Yeah, and but it ended up that the guy was just like sitting around all day and just like playing his sports, sitting in front of the TV and really just doing nothing, and really not really trying to find a job that's sustainable. Yeah, maybe trying to look for things that he is really interested in, like something that sort of coheres with his hobbies, but not being realistic about it. Right? So I guess it's not a very selfless sort of attitude, because he's just thinking of whether it suits him, like not really thinking of the big picture, not being a responsible person, right? So like not willing to sacrifice anything. Not willing to sacrifice his interests and maybe get down and find something that he can do. That's practical, right? So at the end of the day, she had just had it with this guy, and so she divorced him. Yeah, so that's the story. So a lot of the times when parents they want you to find someone who has a house and a car, who has healthy finances, it actually means that they want you to find someone who is motivated. Yeah, who has the motivation to do something worthwhile with their life, like to make a decent living. Yeah, it doesn't have to be someone who's very rich or very wealthy, well off, who can take care of like everything without you having to like budge or anything. But there's more to that. There's more implications to a house and a car. They want you to find someone who's at least not like that guy who lost his job but isn't willing to go find another one, or is just procrastinating every day. Someone who's irresponsible for the family and not willing to shoulder any responsibilities to take care of the family. Yeah, this is the last person they want you to find. Yeah, they don't need you to find someone who's like very well off, but they want you to find someone who is motivated. Yeah, motivated to make something out of their life. And also, someone who has healthy finances, who can take care of their finances well, is someone who is just inherently responsible. Like, it's a person who has the qualities of responsibility and discipline, right? Someone who can take care of themselves is someone who can take care of you and the family one day, right? So if someone can't even take care of their own finances, their finances are in shambles, like, what do you think about the future? Like, how will they actually shoulder the responsibility of taking care of the whole family, right? Even if it's just like, splitting the bills or something, will they take part in that? Will they be willing to take care of their part of the responsibility, or is it all up to you? Right. So of course, like some couples, they negotiated this. Like maybe the wife has a very, very good job, like a very lucrative career, and she's the one who actually works and takes care of all the family finances. But there's responsibilities from the guy too. Like he has to take part in taking care of the kids, like bringing them to all the activities and to like do the housework and everything, right? So it's like a healthy household requires this splitting of responsibilities, like whether it's financial or it is like physical responsibilities. So if this person is, cannot even be responsible for upholding his finances, who has a lot of debts, who he doesn't intend on clearing, or, is just has a lot of credit card bills that are laying around, or has like a gambling addiction or something. So do you think he will uphold his part of the responsibility in the family, no matter if it's finances or physical or something? Do you think he's going to like go and help with the housework? No. Yeah. So this is the last thing that parents want you to see you getting yourself into, being involved with a guy who is irresponsible. So, parents asking whether he has a house and a car is actually, testing to see if he has healthy finances. And that is all for the sake of gauging whether you can have a good future with this person. And parents, they've been around for ages, right? They've been around for decades longer than us, and they have so much more life experience, and you will appreciate their wisdom, I think, more when you are in their shoes. Yeah, so I guess when we're just kids, like we don't understand why they're, so practical and boring and pragmatic, and why are they thinking of these things when you can just have more fun or something? Like you think that they're like unfun, right? But when you're in their shoes, like there's so much more adult responsibility that you have to take over, such as paying bills, and taking care of your own family, marriage and all these things. Like those are so beyond the dating phase. Yeah, so in dating, you can think about it just involves going out to have a meal, right? Enjoying your several hours of like having a nice dinner, and then maybe going out to take a walk, and in the weekends, doing something fun, and then that's it. And then you go off back to your respective houses, and that's it. Like you call it a night, right? But when you get married, it's like so much more complicated than that, right? You take on so much more adult responsibilities, and like there are bills to pay, and children's tuition fees to pay, and and everything, right? Or a helper to pay for, and you have to buy like groceries for not just you but like the whole family. Or when you were living with your parents, then you don't have to do any of these things, right? You just go on your date, go back home, and go to sleep, right? And I don't know, like go on the phone or something, go in front of your phone and surf on your phone, and that's it. Like you call it a night. So yeah, so life becomes much more complicated and much more practical when you reach the stage of of marriage and parenthood. And in Chinese, we have those seven things, like the seven necessities of life. They are wood, rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and tea. Yes, okay. So those are the seven necessities of life that we always talk about when it's a symbol of all things practical. Okay, the drudgeries of life, like things that we don't want to think about, we just want to shove to the back of our minds, things that are the most unromantic in a relationship. Yeah. So yeah, but think about it. Like when you're in like a household, then you can't just like go off to your respective houses after a date and call it a night. You have to actually cook for the family, right? You can't spend like each and every family meal outside and just never use your stove, right? So those seven things are all about cooking. Basically, they're all like foodstuffs, like the basic stuff like rice, and sauce, and wood for cooking and stuff. Yeah, so these things are the things like you have to think about. It like forces you to think about the necessities, right, of life. And think about if you don't have those things, then you're finished. Your marriage or your household is finished. Yeah, you can never have a happy marriage without these seven things. Like if you're not going to even have sufficient food on the table, then how will the marriage survive, and how will your kids fare, right? So everything is going to just go down south if you don't take care of the basics, necessities of life. Yeah, so it's not definitely not just about the romance and the feelings or anything when it's you have to actually start a family, like we all know after we have started it, right? Like so it's not like the romance is gone, but there are so many other things that constitute a healthy marriage, right? So like love, right? Love, romance, feelings, chemistry, that is like one thing, but there are like tangible aspects as well that we have to begin to think about, right? So yeah, it is like a rude awakening for every one of us, that it's like being like new people going into this phase, like from the dating phase, jumping into the marriage phase, and then the raising kids phase. It's like a whole new step up, right? So it's like a whole new world that we have to go face. And, we have our parents to thank that we don't have to face it alone. Like those of us who are lucky enough, the parents have already faced these phases already for a while now, and they know how difficult it is to adjust, and they know like the drudgeries that it takes to make these phases smooth. They know what it takes for you to prosper in these worlds, right? And they know what it takes to make your life easier going into these phases, because they've been there, done that. Yeah, so, they're sharing their age-old wisdom with you, and you will definitely appreciate that once you are there, for sure. Yeah, and some parents, like, they even go as far as to help you out physically and financially for you to adjust to these phases of your life, right? So if you can't afford to pay down payment for the house that you don't have yet, maybe they'll chip in, maybe they'll help out if they can afford to it themselves, because they want to see you being in a good place, right? They want to give you all the help they want, and to help out with the taking care of the grandkids, and to share their life's wisdom with you, things that you probably never would have thought of yourself if you're not in that position. So yeah, I think they're like giving you sort of like preventive measures, for things that you don't want to happen. They're sort of like warning you and how to prevent them. So the verdict, are parents being too pragmatic when they're asking if the guy has a house and a car? The verdict is probably no, because they probably, most of them, don't mean it in such a literal sense. It's to like help you out with weeding out the irresponsible people. Yeah, they're helping you gauge the character of your person, to see if they're fit enough to raise a family with you. And that is the most important thing when choosing a life partner. Yeah, and come to think of it, they're not asking for a house and a car for them, It's not like for them. Well, for most parents, I hope it's not. So they're asking if the guy has a house and a car for you, for you guys, for your future, right? So, like, they're not being greedy or anything, okay? So, it's for you, not them, okay? So, they're just trying to look out for you for your future, and that's a very sweet thing to do. So the next time you feel sort of offended when you hear them asking this question, or them sort of trying to ask you about the guy's finances, don't reprimand them for being too pragmatic and like spoiling your fun or something, or being a wet blanket or something. Because what they're doing really is for your own good. It's for like your future, right? So to see that you're well taken care of, and that you can have a bright, happy future with a guy who is a responsible, disciplined person. Yeah, and that you don't have to suffer from like the lack of anything in your marital life, like, because to them, you deserve the best. Like, they would hope that you have the best coming from someone that can provide these things for you, no matter if it's like physically or mentally or emotionally or financially. So yeah, let this episode be a tribute to them, a tribute to Mom, yeah, for Mother's Day, for thanking her for looking out for us, for having our best interests at heart, and for giving us the wisdom that they have acquired from years of going through the same thing themselves. Yeah, and if they are successful in their own marriage, they want us to have that too. Right? For us to find a partner who is like a really good person, very responsible person, like their own partner, if they're successful, they want you to have the same thing. And if they're not successful, like they didn't succeed in finding the right partner, and they've lived through the pain of that, they don't want you to have that. That's exactly what they don't want you to have, and they want you to learn from their failed experience and to find someone better. Yeah, someone who's deserving of you. Yeah, the more you grow up, the more you learn to appreciate the wisdom of parents. Yeah, and to thank your mom, take this opportunity for us to thank our moms for providing for us, and for giving us their wisdom, and for tirelessly reminding us like what we should aspire to, and to find the right partner. I think that is like their biggest wish, that you can find someone that can take care of you just like they had taken care of you with all their heart. So I think the best thing we can do to repay our moms and our parents in general is to take really good care of ourselves and to take it upon ourselves to find a partner who truly deserves us. Yeah, that will be the thing they want most. So happy Mother's Day, and thank you so much for being here. Remember to subscribe to Love and Life Sorted so you don't miss an episode, and hop onto IG if you want to see some fun stuff. And if you want to chat more about partner choices and motherhood and other things, remember to subscribe to my free newsletter. All right, so see you again next week. Bye!